Here's the God's honest truth about ordering paid press on Fiverr. Now listen, I own a PR agency and we've actually ordered Forbes, Inc., Entrepreneur, all from people on Fiverr just to see if any of them could actually do it. And here's what I've learned after doing this for 4 years. And I purchased a publication called usawire.com, and we publish entrepreneurs like yourself all the time. So believe me, I know how this works. If you're thinking about price shopping on Fiverr, there's actually a really good way to do it, and I'm gonna walk you through that in just a second. It's not all bad, but there's a massive but. You're gonna have to beware about certain use cases when using Fiverr for paid press. So let's get right into it. If you're on Fiverr looking for paid press, chances are you're price shopping, you're doing this on a budget. You're trying to get published somewhere for less than $100, and you really don't have the budget to work with a reputable PR agency that can get you directly into those sites because they have direct connections with those sites. So if you do have the budget, this probably isn't the video for you. You should go talk to a PR agency like Otter PR who can get you directly into these sites the right way, write good content, and make sure that it actually ranks and you get what you're paying for. But if you're on a budget, here's what you should know about ordering on Fiverr. Fiverr's got a great selection of vendors that have different offerings. Maybe you're trying to get on Kaivo Daily or New York Weekly. Whatever that outlet might be, you probably can find it on Fiverr. Now, the vendors that you're gonna be working with on Fiverr usually have some kind of pre-negotiated deal with a PR agency like us. So they're typically middlemaning, they're arbitraging the publishing of that article from a trusted source like us who works directly with those publications and in a lot of cases owns them. For example, we own usawire.com at Otter PR. If you're looking at Kaivo Daily, that is owned by Dylan Kaivo. And a lot of PR agencies own these smaller publications. So if you're trying to get into smaller publications, you should ideally go through the PR agency or just reach out to that publication directly. If you go through a middleman, a couple of things might happen. Your article is probably not going to be written in very good English. It's probably going to be AI generated. It might not be published by a real contributor on that publication. It might be in the sponsored section, and that article might come down after a certain period of time because that publication has no loyalty to that vendor, that third party. And if it comes down, you're going to have nobody to complain to. There's no warranty. That person doesn't owe you anything. Once the order is marked as complete on Fiverr, there's really nothing left for you to do. So for that reason, try and work directly with the site or with a trusted PR provider. Now, if you can't find the option you're looking for anywhere else, Fiverr actually can be a really good option if you take these precautions. The first is don't accept the order delivery until that article is live. A lot of providers are going to say, yeah, it's pending. Here's the email proof that it's with the editor. Do not accept it. Keep asking for delays. And even after it's live, wait another 30 days before leaving them a review because you never know what's going to happen in that 30 days. That's only for smaller publications. I mean, less than $100. Do not use Fiverr for anything more than like $200, $300, because that's when you start really risking your money and your results. What's the use of PR, right? So why are you buying an article? It's because you ideally want to share that article with people to build credibility, build social proof. But if somebody comes to that article and they see that it's sponsored or published by someone with a really foreign name, or it's not written in good English, then it's really going to have the opposite effect of what you want it to have. So anytime you're doing PR, it needs to be written in perfect English, published by a contributor at that publication that sounds like they have a reputable name, a credible name. So if you go through a vendor, make sure that you're asking, one, who's going to be the name publishing the article? Make sure that it's a good name, a real name, an actual person. Who's going to be writing the article? Make sure that you're able to review the content before it goes live. And what guarantee do you have that it's not going to be taken down? And then make sure it's not sponsored and make sure it's indexed in Google. If it doesn't have those 5 things and they can't assure those 5 things, run away and work with somebody else. And they might say a PR agency is not going to be able to guarantee you that it's indexed. That's BS. Yes, we can. Now let's talk about buying high-tier articles on Fiverr. Articles like Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc., top-tier publications that you're probably familiar with. Is this even feasible? Why would you consider buying something like that on Fiverr? Well, sometimes it can be the Wild West on Fiverr. So you might see somebody offering a Forbes, a Newsweek, an Inc., for $1,000, for $2,000, $3,000. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what risk is there? Because if they can't do it, then I can just complain to Fiverr and get my money back. Why would they risk it? Well, there's a very specific tactic that they're going to use to try and dupe you that we're going to talk about right now. If you're buying top tier articles, you can't simply pay the website to publish something in almost every case. Even for us as a big PR agency, we can't just pay Forbes to publish our article. If we want to get our client on Forbes, we need to work with an actual contributor or journalist at that publication. Now, can we sometimes convince them to publish what we want? Absolutely. And that's where those relationships become very important. The freelancers who are working on Fiverr do not play by the same rules as us. They don't have relationships with those contributors no matter what they tell you. Instead, they're middlemaning between PR agencies like Otter or whatever contact they have at another PR agency that actually has those relationships. So here's what could potentially go wrong if you order one of those top tier publications from Fiverr. Well, the first and most obvious one is that you're not going to get what you pay for. They're going to promise that they can get something done and they can't end up doing it. They're going to try and string you along and say, yeah, it's with the editor, go ahead and accept payment. Obviously, don't accept the payment. Your chances of success working with someone on Fiverr are going to be slim to none when it comes to your top tier publications. Now, say they are successful by Fiverr's standard. Be very specific about successful by Fiverr standards, because they don't have to get you published in entrepreneur.com USA to be considered getting you in entrepreneur.com. Most of these sites have auxiliary sites in every country that are much easier to get you into. For example, I can get you published in Entrepreneur Asia or India for less than $1,000. Now, it's still entrepreneur.com. They still own it and it's still at that domain address. So they could show that to Fiverr and say, yes, I did. Look, this is exactly what they ordered and what I delivered. So it's really easy for you to get duped, especially during that ordering process where maybe you don't read the fine print, or maybe it's not in the fine print at all and they're just trying to dupe you. So make sure that it's on entrepreneur.com in the USA or Forbes.com in the USA. There's a lot of freelancers who are doing some sketchy business related to that. So be specific about the location where it's being published. Next is kind of what I talked about earlier. There's a lot of different ways to get into entrepreneur.com. For example, they have a podcast. They could potentially put you onto a podcast and that podcast can publish on entrepreneur.com and now you're on entrepreneur.com, but not really. So there's a lot of loopholes and workarounds for them to get you in to that magazine without actually getting you into the magazine. So you're going to want to make sure that you're ordering a featured article in those publications and show them an example. Get clarification on the example of what it's going to look like. It's got to be published by a contributor, not sponsored. It needs to have your name somewhere in that article or your business name, ideally in the title, but that's usually really hard to do. A lot of people try and sneak you into these publications using other people's guest posts or these podcasts or sponsored pages. Just be very specific about what the end result is going to look like. Last but not least, and I see this one happen all the time. You order an article on Forbes and that Forbes article goes live 2 months later, you got a great deal. And then 2 months after that, the contributor that they were working with, or more likely that the PR agency was working with, the contributor gets caught, fired, and every article that they've ever published comes down with it. And you have no recourse because Fiverr won't give you your money back. The order was marked as complete. This person's totally disappeared. You have no way to get in contact with them. And you don't know who was the main source of getting that done, what the PR agency was, and there's really nothing left for you to do. This happens all the time. And this is one of the main reasons why you want to work with a PR agency, because now somebody's accountable. They can either get you a refund or they can fulfill that order again with a different contributor. But you just want to make sure there's accountability there because these top tier articles come down all of the time. So if you're shopping on Fiverr, just follow those rules that we spoke about in this video and you're going to be safe. And if you're ordering a top tier publication from Fiverr, my chances of success over the course of my 5 years in this PR industry, running a massive PR agency with 60 employees and massive clients like Alibaba, is that Fiverr can get it done 1 out of 100 times. It's not impossible, but but it's almost every time that we do this, because we follow these rules, we'll hire them on Fiverr, we'll pay them on Fiverr, we won't give in to any of their tactics or their tricks, and we're very stern. And 1 out of 100 times, they'll be able to actually do it. The rest of the time, it's them trying to scam us, them trying to get us to accept the order, them trying to publish us in one of their sister sites in this country. Don't take it. Be very careful. And if you follow those rules, you should be okay. And if you're watching this video and you're like, screw it, I don't want to risk it with Fiverr, I just want to work with somebody who's going to do it right the first time and not deal with all the headache, then Otter PR is the right choice for you. You can book a call or learn more in the description of this video. And I'm Jay Feldman, one of the co-founders of Otter PR. I hope this was helpful, and if it was, be sure to subscribe to our channel, and I will see you soon.